are a lot of questions about what is allowed and what is not allowed in the wake of this decision. Can we expect any legal repercussions from companies who do cover abortion travel for their employees?
Yes, I mean, the forecast is heavy and steady rain of lawsuits here. The law is unclear. What is clear, judging from the recent polls, is that the majority of Americans disagree with the Supreme Court's recent decision.
So for these companies deciding the next move to make, Domenic, what are the questions that they would be having internally in deciding what is the kind of care and resources that they do want to provide their workers?
Well, they have to be careful because certain states are threatening criminal liability to the companies, to the executives who make certain decisions. But those attempts to criminalize this corporate activity are going to face two major obstacles. One is federal interstate commerce. The Constitution protects interstate commerce. And as Justice Kavanaugh in his concurring opinion intimated, it's going to be hard to prevent encouraging or allowing people to cross state lines to receive a procedure that is legal in another state. The other obstacle that states will face, states that try to criminalize or put impediments to this activity, is ERISA, the federal law which prevents states from regulating employers' group health plans. It applies to self-funded plans, which are mostly used by larger employees. Unfortunately, it does not apply to smaller employers who are often subject only to state regulation.
So it is interesting. We have a very tight labor market. Domenic, we've seen more and more companies take a stand on social matters and cultural matters of late these past few years or so. But employers obviously must believe here that keeping, retaining, and supporting talent, their own workers, is worth potential legal battles. Talk to me more about that.
Yeah, I think employees and customers are increasingly expecting more from companies, and that includes companies spending on health benefits and becoming publicly involved in social and political issues. We're seeing, the Levi Strauss come out and say, given what's at stake, business leaders need to make their voices heard. We've seen a company in Texas, the CEO of a company, Sarah Jelko, come out and say employers like us may be the last line of defense. We're seeing the chief executive of Salesforce say, I believe that CEOs have a responsibility to take care of their employees no matter what. So I think you're going to see companies invest in these legal battles, and ultimately, depending on how aggressive some of these states that are banning abortion get, you might see a lot of these corporations prevail in constitutional challenges, but that remains to be seen.
Interesting. So what fight, Domenic, do you anticipate some of these states might be considering or actually take against companies that are supporting their workers in these states where abortion is already banned or is soon to be banned in the wake of this decision?
Well, there's chatter of all kinds of proposals. Some Texas lawmakers have proposed barring corporations from doing business in the state if they help pay for their employees' out-of-state procedures. Others in that state have suggested suing executives and directors for breaches of fiduciary duty and proposing even federal criminal liability on executives who use company money for abortion-related expenses without getting approval from company shareholders. But again, I think these efforts are going to see constitutional challenges here under the Interstate Commerce Clause.
How much money is at risk, and what does this mean for the economy, Domenic, in the wake of this decision?
I think you might ultimately see if certain states get overly aggressive, some corporate relocations. I think you might see companies finding it easier to recruit talent in states that are more permissive with the status quo of the last 50 years, the last half century of jurisprudence that we had since Roe versus Wade before last week.
But is your indication that legal fights are bound to happen? That this is definitely going to be something that people are going to take to the courts to try to fight? I mean, it's been a 50-year fight to undo Roe versus Wade. It was successful as of last Friday, and I think every indication, as you're nodding your head, is that, yes, these legal fights are going to be very real.
Absolutely. The fights are continuing, and the corporate fights have just begun.
Just begun. Domenic, we're going to leave it there. Really good to get your take as we do await more details as to how this will unfold. That's Domenic Romano, employment attorney at Romano Law.